Oh, hey, cool. This used to be about $90. It picked it up for $28 at GameStop. Put that with some of the other Nerf things. I think I'm missing something. Ah, there it is. Okay. All those Nerf things. Hello everybody, this is Maniac4Toys, and over the past hour and a half I've dug out most of my Nerf collection and I'm here to share it on a new updated video. Even though it's been a couple months ago since I last did a video like this on Maniac for Bricks, it has grown quite big since then. And no, not all of it is in frame right now. Most of it is in a whole bunch of Tupperwares, which I will take out and organize for this video. With that being said, I can't show all of it in one sitting lined up like I did last time. I'm going to break this down by category this time around for the different sub-themes, I guess you would call it, for Nerf, the different types of blasters that are available and that I decided to pick up. So I'm going to start things off with the shortest of the waves, the Mega, Rival, and Modulus lines. Alright, so starting off with the smaller collections, we have Rival, Mega, we have Modulus and Modulus Ghost Ops, Vortex, and Rebel. All in all, these are some that I don't look into the themes that much. A little bit more nowadays with the Modulus line, but not much with some of the niche ones like Rebel and Mega, Rival, and Vortex. For one thing, Rival and Vortex carry the thing about, well, they don't use the same ammo. Vortex has a very short run every so often, so it's even hard to have a wide variety of blasters that are practical, or even just having the amount of ammo. I do still have some for these, but not much, not too many that I would run really that often. And a lot of these, have some, a lot of the Modulus ones I definitely would try to use in some competitive form whatsoever. But a lot of them I think will just be for playing around, just to try them out and see what different blasters there are, but only so far. I do have a few more Rivals that are included here. I haven't even opened these yet, but I did have an already used, opened Apollo in red. That's not too bad. I know it's kind of clashing that these are all different colors and there's not a specific team for it or anything. I just like the blue. It fits a little bit better around the orange. Personally, it's like the N-Strike Elite line, so that's what it reminds me of, but not too shabby there. I like the green that goes with the Boba Fett one, not necessarily for the rounds, but for the mask and parts of the blaster. And I got it for $28. That's actually a pretty good deal, considering that the Apollo for itself usually goes around $20. This is a Star Wars exclusive one, and it originally went for $90. Are you kidding me? It's really not much, but somehow it went up crazy in price, and it's now on its way down. Mega, it's also in the same camp with like, oh, these are different than the regular darts, and you could fit for most Nerf blasters, so I don't really see a need to use them all the time. That's why one of them is still sealed, but I do have good purposes with them, and the bow is okay. It's not bad, but it's not good either. So for a lot of the Modulus ones, they are, good to use and are great for customizing. That's the premise of the Modulus line, but also seeps into the N-Strike line. And there are definitely a lot of good options in there from what I've tested so far. I'm having fun with different ones I've played around with. And I still have some that I need to fully open up. I've only, used the base blasters, but I haven't really customized everything yet to see what works for me. Invader's running pretty well even on its default batteries. I've been testing it a couple times, different nights, and I haven't seen the batteries dry up or run lower yet, so that's pretty good. I do have 3 copies of the Modulus ECS-10, but they're all used in some way. I had the Chrono Barrel on there just because I wanted to mention I have the Chrono Barrel, but all 3 of these I've had pre-owned and not complete. They don't have all the accessories. I think they just have the one stock there. The top one, actually, I also do have like a front handle that could be attached on, but not showing that here. The top one, for some reason, does not have the battery case. I tried looking again for it, couldn't find it. I tried swapping it with one of the other ones, adding fresh batteries in, not running. So I may have to actually open that one up and see diagnostics and things, and see what the problem is. But the other two are running pretty well. They vibrate a little bit while I've been holding them, even vibrating more than recent ones like the Evader. And they fire pretty well. They feel very comfortable. So I'm happy with those. They're not in those configurations all the time, just showing them there. These, not really much for it, but I do like this one particularly because it has glow darts. Every once in a while, I like seeing 1 second blast glow darts, which you'll see later in this video, some other examples of that. But basically, anything the Rebel line has, the other lines do better. That's why I don't really look into it that much, and what I've seen in other reviews and such. Basically, a dumbed down version of what other blasters can do way better. So I don't really worry about it that much. This one's just a bunch of accessories. They don't actually fit me because I'm an adult male, and that's just how it is. I don't really mind about the color schemes or the stripes or anything on the Rebel line or the Fantasy Rebel line. It's just a matter of how well they actually run. And we have up here the one of the most recent additions, a Mediator and Mediator stock. They work pretty well. Only jams every once in a while for the Mediator itself. The stock is at a pretty good length, and it's pretty good grip on the back of it, where it's softer plastic. So I think that's good. And I also do like that it has a hidden blaster in there. And we have the Recon Mark II, another GameStop one, but they have dozens and dozens. Any GameStop you go to, you will find a whole section of these, and usually by the clearance. They don't really do so well. There was a recall of it at one time, and mine seems to be working a-okay. I think it's a post-recall version where they fixed the problem. And if you get it more for $10 or any more than $15, it might be too much. I think now it's running around $10 on clearance. It's okay, but not much to write home about. I will do more with that, the Retaliator and the original Recon, in another video. But there is a look at some of these smaller mini collections of these the smaller NERF subcategories. Up next, we're having a look at the N-Strike Elite line, specifically just the Elite, the Zombie Strike line, and the Dart Tag line. It's funny, I thought there was actually a little bit more in each category, but from all the bins I looked through, like 5 bins, this is all I could find right now. But with that being said, Dart Tag, I don't really use it that much nowadays. I did find the Mag Strike a lot of fun back in the day because it was still in that transitional period of a lot of air pump blasters and then moving into springers and things like that. So this was just fun to pump it all the way up and use the magazines. Unfortunately, they are only for that model. I don't think any other blasters had those, so it'd be harder to find those. Oh, we got a plane again. We have 2 tech targets because, well, they had 2 people. My brother and I would both be able to play it at the same time, and I don't know if the target actually registered both at the same time, but at least it makes it a little more fun having the same blasters. That also leads into the Dart Tag ones up here, which I think were later used in Zombie Strike. I don't know the name of it off the top of my head, and doesn't really say it along the blaster itself, but they were packaged together and had also their appropriate vests to go with them in those colors. They're neat. Again, nothing too special nowadays, but they're good for just simple playing around. And we also have another one from Dart Tag in the middle. I don't remember the name of it, and it doesn't say it along here as well. And I picked it up from a Goodwill, as you can see by the sticker. It's kind of okay as far as one that has like a round drum in the middle, but again, it's good for every once in a while sort of thing. It's a little bulky, a little too cumbersome. For Zombie Strike, I picked up the Quadrat recently. I only just took it out of the package right before the video. Hammer Shot was pretty essential. Most people recommended that one as a sidearm, and I dig it. I like the flintlock hammer style kind of thing in the back of it. I don't have anything in Doomlands, but I know that they have those. But I haven't found much favor with those shapes of blasters to really go into it that much. Flip Fury is okay. I think it's a fun gimmick where you could flip it around and have 2 rotating barrels. It's like 2 of the Hammer Shot basically, but instead of thumb priming it like you have in the back, you have it as more traditional. I would say, though, if I went back for it again, I probably would get the Demolisher instead, so that way it goes from a really cumbersome pistol, which this basically is, to a full-size primary, where you have twice as many barrels as this does, all of them able to rotate, and also a better priming, in my opinion. It feels a lot better. And we also have the chop stock and the nail biter down here for the recent editions. Again, nothing performance-wise, nothing competitive-wise. It's just fun to use, and the chop stock might actually be fun to use as a stock. It's pretty sturdy compared to other ones. And I don't know as far as the melee use for it, but I think it's still a nice style. I do like the aesthetic of the Zombie Strike line. It's weird to me that I haven't even gotten more of them up to this point, but they still look pretty nice. I'm also surprised that I don't have a lot for the N-Strike Elite line. I thought there was a few more out there, but I couldn't find any others. I know one or two that are missing from here. One of them, before I even did the previous video, was the Hailfire. I did pick that up at one point at Toys R Us for about $25, but I traded it to a friend of mine, so I no longer had that, and that was probably 2 years ago. And I know I'm also missing 2 orange Jolts. Yes, obviously you have to have a Jolt in your collection. I think I got the blue one as a free with purchase sort of thing, so it just wound up there. It's like, if you're going to be into NERF, you're going to have a Jolt. It's just how it goes. They're so easy to get and so everywhere. But yeah, there should be 2 other orange ones next to that. Also essential, a Strife. Yeah, it was essential to get that. And I'm contemplating getting another one like the Battle Camo one I've seen recently in Walmart. I did pick up this one from Kohl's. This is the Elite Alpha Trooper CS6. Unfortunately, it does not have the barrel attachment function, so it's always going to look like that on the front. It does have the stock on the back, which I'll probably never use, but it's there. And also from Kohl's, I picked up the Ravenfire, which I don't know how exactly it is, because I got it opened and sort of damaged for the box. So I don't think the blaster's really been that damaged from what I've tested so far. It's the spring clip that might be a problem, though. And the stock is a little uncomfortable for me just by the design of it. I don't know. It's okay, but nothing I would always want to use. We have the Raider up here, and I do have the 35 round drum. Got that when it came out. And yeah, the stock is a little finicky. I do have, I'll probably see it later, another stock, very reminiscent of that, but works a bit better, so it doesn't close up on you while you're holding it. I have the Strong Arm here, and at some point I would like to get a Disruptor, so I can do a comparison between the Strong Arm, Disruptor, and the Maverick, which you'll see real soon. I just happen to get a Sharpfire. I don't really need it that much, but there it is. Kind of cool for the Zapper look from like the NES. And it does not have the back portion, which was removable. Then we have 3 Retaliators. They were all incomplete, and they're all 3 different designs. I have stickers on all 3 of them. I did that also with the ECS 10s, so that when I was testing them, I could, put the numbers in the right areas, and they work fine. They actually are pretty good in performance, even compared to flywheels, even compared to other springers. 2 of them are definitely better than the other one, but that's all in a different video. So these give some good options for more customization. There are some base blasters and some recommendations here and there, like the Strife and the Hammershot. But, I can still play around with some of the other kinds here and there when I'm not doing it competitively. Alright, so as of recording this video, obviously it's getting darker outside, but we still got some light, so we can still see what is here. These are all N-Strike pre-elite blasters. Quite the collection of them. I will say, though, that the 4 down here are different categories. They're just so small, I thought, well, they'll fit them in the same frame. We have 2 of them that are from the Super Max series, including, yes, I talked about this one in my last collection video, something that I used to have and would love to have again. Basically, my first NERF blaster, the Super Max 5000. Only problem is, when I received it in a big lot of a lot of NERF blasters, that's where a whole lot of different additions to this video came from, this one was missing parts, and it had a few parts broken. So this is almost the best form of it that I can have for ready use, whether it's firing 1 missile or 1 dart at a time. Yeah, it's really not that great for performance in terms of competitiveness, but I'm happy to have something that I grew up with. once again, even if it's of another copy. We also have the 1500 there, which is a little more practical, but it does have some unique darts to them, which I'm not really going to go over all the different dart types in this video, or I don't know if I'm going to do another one, but they are harder to find, and I do have another one scattered somewhere else. We have two here from Star Wars. Yeah, it kind of made its own category. There's so few, I might as well. I have looked into one or two of the other ones for Glow Strike, or at least the darts for Glow Strike, to see if they're compatible with other glowing blasters. And this one I remember growing up with is a Clone Trooper blaster. It's also available, I think, in white. And it also has a red dot sight built into it. It's okay, but as a one-shot thing, it's not something I'm going to use that much. It's also an uncomfortable handle here, too. And doesn't really shoot that far. The crossbow up here is a little cumbersome of trying to set it all up. I received it without the assembly, so I had to figure out quite a bit how to put the parts together. And when I did, I didn't think it was really that much going on. I forgot to include in the Elite section that I do have a triad. It kind of goes along with the Jolt, but it's 3-in-1. I also forgot to include in the dart tag section that I have the Capture the Flag. That's where those two green and orange blasters of the same kind came from. I do have a Stampede shield, but I don't have the Stampede. Just received that on its own. And then we got the bulk, which has End Strike. Many of these I grew up with, still have working, and not as good as other stuff nowadays, but I have not torn them apart. I haven't seen anything break on them. They're just not, again, not practical nowadays, but they are still, like, you know, form-fitting. They still stand together. One of the problems that goes with this and some of the other blasters, which are over here for the previous End Strike, where they had a more red color scheme to them, there's the dark red versions of them, was the fact that they had reverse plunger. This is an internal thing about how the darts are actually fired that they changed with the End Strike Elite line, and many blasters nowadays shoot way better because of that. So they're fun for what they were. They're fun of things that I grew up with, but not many of them would I use in a competitive sense nowadays. Again, I'll probably do more videos that will compare them or whatever, or somewhere else. But for now, it's not many of these you're really going to see that often. I do have I do have a lot of fondness for the Maverick, though. I remember getting this one for a brief Nerf war that I used to have at a summer camp. I also did that with the, not the Raven, the Firefly. That's, almost forgot the two. This was another kind of glow strike one where you actually light up the darts here. It flashes because you have batteries in there. Flashes, fires the dart, and then you reload it, turns the thing. And you also have dart storage in the back. It's interesting. It was fun for the time, but again, nothing I would constantly use. It would just be, you know, every once in a while, kind of fun to play with. Recon, original one, all the parts are there. I think the batteries might need some redoing in the red dot sight, though. This thing on the top is abysmal. I never really liked a lot of the sights from any blasters. I don't really add them on to that much stuff. They just, there's not much I can see from them or anything I could really, like, get used to, like, you know, lining it up the right way so I know what I'm gonna hit when I look through the sight. Long shot, also not too great nowadays, and a lot of these I would say they poot darts. P-O-O-T. It's my word I've used for some time when taking notes of basically darts that just go, just fall right out, no distance whatsoever, no speed, no velocity for them. Sometimes it's a mechanical error. These, it's the way that they're made. They're just not that productive. And because they're so old, you know, they've been around for 10 plus years in my collection. So they're just also wearing thin because of so much, you know, so many times I've used them. So that goes with all the different components. I will say, though, for some reason, before setting up this video, the Long Strike's sight on top of there did not attach to the rail. I think there's some little spring in there that might need work, but again, it's nothing I'm really going to use cosmetically all the time, so it's fine. I just wanted to share it here, the fact that I had it complete. There is this bow that I got from a Goodwill. I'm sure it would be a little bit better of a bow if I actually fixed the top string. It was broken when I got it. It had all the components, though. It does have the arrows, but it's not really easy to fire with it because the bow does not carry all the way through, you know? Like, the strength in the back is stronger on the bottom than on the top, which is broken. So, it's not as fun to use even in an archery sense. I did include this one in the middle here. This was the original one, and these two I got separately, but they are basically all in the End Strike line. At least the yellow ones are. This might have been right before End Strike. And I haven't checked the batteries on them in a while. I don't know how well the lights work inside, but they're nothing I really need to use that much as a backup. But they are nice to have 3 of them in the same, so if I need to even the playing field, it's pretty good. That said, the yellow ones have a tactical rail on the top, so it makes it a little more advantage than the blue one in the center. And then we have the Unity Power System. This was a special bonus kind of pack for End Strike back in the day. It did also have a DVD included with it, so it actually encouraged you to fire darts, at the time suction darts, at your TV screen to play along with the game. It wasn't a really thing that it would respond to the darts. It was more a matter of you would watch a cutscene, you would fire darts where there were targets, and then you would have to mark which ones you actually hit. So a real big faith honor system thing there, but as the blasters themselves, like the other ones in the End Strike line, they've had some wear and tear over time, so they're not going to perform as good as they were when they first came out. They also did have some reverse plunger for a lot of the systems, so they are going to once again poot out the darts. And it is neat that they can combine all 3 of these, but it's not always that practical. It's not always gonna fire everything all at once from what I've done before, and obviously, like I said, it's gonna get worse over time the more that it's being played with. I know that the hose might need some fixing in the Titan, which is the big one with the rocket. The rocket itself is missing the tip, but it still is a solid cylinder, so maybe I could fix that at some point. And the Hornet and the Scout, I always thought the Scout was cool in the look of the pistol, but not really good in how it worked, you know. And the Hornet, it's good in theory, but not much can be done with it. So, there is a look at the End Strike stuff, and now basically everything after that is pre-End Strike. We already had a sample of that with the Super Max, but there's going to be a lot more. I don't know all the categories, so I'm just going to group it all as pre-End Strike. Don't worry, folks, we're almost done. We are now at the pre-End Strike era of blasters, which, I mentioned the Super Max before, but this is a whole bunch of categories. I do not know entirely what they belong to, so I kind of grouped them by what looked familiar. Some of them did actually have tags in them, such as Max Force, which are more like animalistic-looking blasters. These are supposed to be rattlesnakes, aka rattlers. This one's supposed to be a bat. I don't know if the wings are actually on backwards, but that's how I received it. And there are 2 error storms here. One of them is broken. One of them split right in the middle. I received it that way, but there was a nice spring in there, so maybe if I need to use it for modding, that's a good start. But I have a working one, so I'm not going to worry about repairing the other one right away. We have a hyper sight, which is actually kind of cool. The way that both sides can actually condense, and you could fire with or without all of that extended. There's a little handle in the front that actually pops them all out, and it has its own sight built on. It's the closest thing to like a traditional sniper that I can think of. So that's pretty nice. We have a missile blaster here, a very small one. And there are a couple other missile blasters in here, like the Aerostorm, but we'll get to those in just a bit. We have a few ball blasters in this category, such as the one just called Ball Blaster, a reactor, which is a common one to find at Goodwill, and that's where I found mine. And then we have the Atom Blaster, which you can load a whole bunch of them in there, and it's a big cyclical thing to carry on your shoulders. A little cumbersome for not many more balls to carry, or ballistic balls as they're known, than what these have. So, yeah. I don't know if it's really much more power, especially because they have been worn out over time. The Ball Blaster and the Atom Blaster I've had for a very long time. I have mentioned before about some kind of arrow-based one that you have to rev up and then fire darts from it, or fire arrows from it. I do not have that anymore, and no problem with that. There is also a Rapid Fire 20 I do not have, but no problem there. And we have some that are from the Cyber Strike series, where it's a couple of blasters that you can actually equip on different parts of your body that also shoot also shoot darts. So this one, these two in the middle are supposed to go onto your wrists, so you can actually fire darts from there, even while you're holding a blaster. Don't know the practicality of it, haven't really tested them out, and I think there are missing things. I know the auto grip is missing some components, and the one underneath it, I don't know exactly how it works. I tried it once or twice, and it's still a little tricky to me as to priming it. There was a dial that allows it to shoot from one side or the other, so it's good for either hand, and there's also a crank underneath it, I think. We have the Ratchet Blast. Now, the Ratchet Blast, when I got it, it was a functional blaster, but then when I brought it home, tested it another time, shortly after that, it broke right in the middle. Because the idea of it is that you have to crank the entire thing back to prime it, or you can also just, like, wave it, basically. But some component in here broke. I have not opened it, so that's a bummer, but it would be nice if I can get that fixed. I would be happy with fixing that one. Chain Blaster up here, or Chain Blazer, is actually missing some parts. There was supposed to be a chain that all the darts would go onto. There's a guardrail on the top that's missing, so there's nothing really I can do with that. And it's kind of scary. You have to pull the thing back, and when it's pulled all the way back, that's when it fires. So you really feel the tension of the spring in there, and I don't know what I'm going to do with that. And then this category I actually do have separated from the rest, even though there are some ball blasters and arrow blasters in here, because these are based on NERF Arena Blast. Well, except for the one on the top, but it's similar. NERF Arena Blast, I love that game so much when I was a kid. I love it as an early PC game, or 90s PC game that I played, and I think the way that it's structured, if they could do that nowadays, updated graphics, but still the same gameplay, different blasters, it would be amazing. As a first-person NERF blasting shooter, it's good. And I think it's honestly better than the Wii versions that came out, which I forgot to mention. I do have the Switch shot in blue and yellow, but whatever. I'm not going back in the video to get those. So we do have all 5 of the actual ones that were used in the game. They came out before the game, but these are the 5 that they actually, really exist. There are other ones in the game, but they don't exist. And I'm happy that I at least completed that NERF Arena Blast collection. Do they all fire well? That's another story. They're all air blaster based, or some of them just have a pumping motion to them. Not too many have springs related. That's mostly for the ball ones up here. And unfortunately, sometimes the balls get stuck inside of the tubes. Maybe because they're different sizes. I do have some that might be from different ages, so maybe that might be a part of it. But I will work that out at some point and hopefully keep them around as something fun to use. I am happy that they all work, though. And the Bazooka actually reminds me, I forgot what it's called, but there was one of the rival ones I showed earlier in blue that reminds me of the Bazooka. So I want to do a comparison with those two. This one was the hardest to get, and for some reason more expensive than most of the other ones. And it's not even that good performing. I tried it before doing this video when it was actually sunny out here, before day fell. And I tried it with all 3 arrows in there, pumped it a few times until it could stop. And when I fired them, they didn't all fire. Or, even if they did, they didn't really go that far. They fell right away. They pooted, as we said earlier. See? I remember in this. The Secret Shot and Secret Shot 2 are pretty nice in their design and definitely in their gimmick. I will say that I like the Secret Shot 2 a little bit more as far as comfort, but I do like the Secret Shot 1 as far as function and simplicity. The Secret Shot 1 has an uncomfortable grip or trigger, in my opinion, where it's like a ball at the end of the trigger. It just doesn't feel right when you're squeezing it. But it does have a function where you could fire out of the front, like a regular pistol, or you would swap a thing that's, you can kind of see from here in orange, it also holds another dart. If you swap this up, you can fire out of the handle. So you'd have to like flip your blaster up real quick and shoot it out. Interesting idea. And then for the Secret Shot 2, they did something completely different. You prime it here in the grip, and it's air powered. It's not that one's more spring-like. And with this one, you have 2 buttons right next to each other. This looks like a sight, but it actually holds a dart. So you would actually hold the top one, you could flip that over, and once you already have this pumped, then you could fire from there. They actually do use that in the Nerf Arena Blast game, and I do like that idea, even though it does fire way faster than the real-life counterpart. The Wildfire, I'm very happy to have that in my collection again. I had that back in the day, or the Rapid Strike 20, or Rapid Fire 20, I mean. That was very similar to it. And this thing is a monster. It is a jackhammer when you fully pull it with air and fire it. It is intimidating, and it is a lot of fun. It is a little bulky, though. So there we have the pre-End Strike lineup for Nerf. And there are a couple more I'd like to touch upon, a few things I have to correct from earlier in the video, and some knockoff Nerf blasters. Alright, we're finally down to the end of the video. I do want to make a couple notes that I forgot from earlier in the video. I apologize if this is as long as it is. One thing I mentioned before was that I had a Raider stock, but it will be featured later. This is it. This is attached to a Thunderstorm, which there are 2 copies of. One of them I received painted, and also a couple of the components were painted, including the water tank, which was actually 2 of them strapped together, so it could be flipped easily. I don't really do too much with the Super Soaker stuff, so I don't really count it too much with this video. And I do have a few other ones that are pistol types, but I'm not going to worry about it for now. There's a blue one and a green one, I believe. There's also a almost teal older Nerf bow and arrow. I'm not sure exactly where it is, but I know I didn't get rid of it. So that's sitting around somewhere. Just want to acknowledge that, as well as another bow type. That's the foregrip I was talking about earlier from the Modulus line. That's another component for the Star Wars bowcaster. That's what I'm telling you. I don't know where any of this stuff goes because I got it used and didn't have instructions. This I actually found in the back of a Toys R Us shortly after it closed. Yeah, just so happened to be there. And very strange how it's jutting out in the back. I don't know if it's broken, but I haven't been able to fire a dart out of it successfully, so I'm going to say it's probably broken. This part in the front is apparently able to come off, but I don't think that's actually compatible outside of its brand. We have 2 hover techs, which are very basic pistol types. 1 dart, pull the back, and then fire. And then you have some Air Warriors Ultra Tech Stars. They are literally the same model. They work pretty much the same from each of them. It's basically like the Triad, but a little bit longer. And, I guess if you like something in that shape for the pistol and you want to have 3 firing off, there you go. Does it perform better? I don't know, wait and see. This looks like a Super Soaker, like a classic kind that everybody would know, but I think it's a knockoff. Just looks really a lot like it. I thought that'd be fun to include in here. And we have a K'NEX K-Force Mega Boom. This was something that was given to me. It is complete. It was actually sealed when it was given to me, so I was able to build it. But for right now, I'm keeping it back in the box. I had it built for some time, played around with it, and I thought it was okay, but it wasn't really that great as a blaster. I think it's fun for a building type of blaster because it does have the opportunity and potential that you could move this in all different ways. Construct your own blaster out of it, or even set up some of the handles and the barrels in different ways. I like that, but it's not as practical as other Nerf blasters. It's just a fun, shorter kind that you can play around with. I will say, though, that the darts are actually pretty good, even compared to Nerf Elite darts or Zombie Strike. The standard kinds you would find in most Nerf blasters, regardless of category. They work sometimes better than the Nerf ones. And that's impressive for something that isn't entirely within that realm of that toy, of projectile toys for K'NEX. So that's the end of the video. Finally, you're here. Thank you for watching this video. Hope you guys enjoyed the entire collection. It has had such a big boom because there were a few eBay auctions that I picked up since the last video. There was 1 or 2 big lots from Facebook Marketplace where I got a lot of the different blasters, including things such as the Super Max 5000, these Super Soakers, which is where I got the really nice stock, and a lot of other things. I also did a couple runs to Target and Walmart and Kohl's to get some other blasters. Some recommendations, some that I just thought were neat, and I did mention before about GameStop. Thank you for watching. Hope you guys enjoyed. Hopefully we won't have a video as long in the next time I do a NERF update.